Believe it or not, there is such thing as good fire in the woods. I'm Bryan Kerns. Today on Common Ground, I'm going to talk to you about the differences between wildfire and prescribed fire. I teach fire science over at Dobyns-Bennett High School in Kingsport, Tennessee, and I also work for the Virginia Department of Forestry on their Wildland Fire crew. I worked a couple of seasons in the western United States on wildfire crew, and so in my close to 20 years of wildland fire experience, I've learned lots of things about the fire effects and the weather that goes along with fire. In the early 1900s, the United States government decided that they had figured out that nature had messed up in one place: fire. So they said, let's suppress all fire all the time. And they even brought a cute little cuddly bear named Smokey onto the scene to say, all fire is bad. Well, it took 40 or 50 years, but we quickly realized suppressing all fire in the woods and in the grasslands eventually makes for an even worse scenario, which we're kind of experiencing now. So the goal now is to try to put fire back into the equation the way it was supposed to be there anyway. We're trying to do that with prescribed fire. Now, the difference between prescribed fire and wildfire is either accidentally set by humans or intentionally set by an arson or naturally caused by lightning. Those things typically happen when the weather is not healthy for a fire. It makes the fire burn too hot or too fast. It can threaten structures, threaten people's lives, and it can be pretty devastating. The other hand, prescribed fire only happens when everything is in place and we are 99% sure this is going to be an effective, safe burn. We take into account the weather, the personnel. We take weeks, sometimes months, to put in control lines prior to ignition. And on the day of the fire, we check the weather the first thing, and we check it again when we show up, and we check it again right before we set the fire to make sure the humidity's not too low, the winds are not too high, there haven't been too many days since significant rainfall. And once that fire is lit, we closely monitor with plenty of resources on hand to make sure that fire stays where we wanted it to stay. And when that prescribed fire is completed, if it's been done effectively and if we followed the prescription, then we can expect to see many, many ecological benefits, including flowers, timber, grasses, streams, wildlife. All of those things benefit from the prescribed fire being put on the ground. And back to wildfires, not all wildfires are bad. Now, of course, if people or property or lives or structures are threatened, yes, those are a bad thing. But if firefighters are able to effectively and safely control that fire, then they can have similar effects on the landscape and the ecosystem as a prescribed fire would. Well, I hope this helps separate those two types of fires you may see on the side of the hill next fall or next spring in Appalachia. And don't drive by and assume it's all bad. Sometimes those fires are exactly what nature ordered. I'm Bryan Kerns. See you next time on Common Grounds.